Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. Sorry about the backlighting. I'm sitting by my fan because I'm hot. Going to talk about food storage. Going to talk about moving where the Spirit leads. Going to talk about lethargy. And going to drink some iced coffee. Whichever one of you told me that bourbon has 100 calories a shot, thank you. Thanks for nothing. Taking a break from the bourbon for a while. Calories, useless calories. So, not that I would be drinking it right now anyway. It's middle of the day. These men are not drunk as you presume, seeing as it is only 9 o'clock in the morning. Anyone know where that comes from? All right, food. Everybody who participated in the wheat delivery yesterday already had a lot of food stored. Think about that. How much food do you have stored? It's a rhetorical question. I don't expect you to tell the world. But I submit it's not enough. You need more. Store more. That would be a good t-shirt. Store more. And so, Brother Roger, Ozark Geek, that's his channel, and he also did a video on it. He told me yesterday that he was going to go home and bucket up all the wheat he got. So that motivated me. And I came home after meeting with some people, fellow Vikings. We hung out with them and had pizza and lunch. Actually, a big group of us went to have pizza for lunch afterwards, break bread together, literally. And that was fun, getting to hang out and chit-chat. A couple people I hadn't seen for a while. And then there was a new family, and so my wife and I stayed and talked to them for about an hour or so more. But then the day was getting long, and I had to bucket up the wheat because I said I would. So I came home, and I did it. Mylar bags, oxygen absorbers. I got 100 pounds of wheat into 3 buckets repeatedly. No problem. And so I did that. When we bought our buckets, we had to go to 2 different places. We had to get lids from 3 different places because they were all selling out of lids. And I had the lids with the, most of them were the cheap lids, which I don't care. I just need something to protect the Mylar. It doesn't have to be some special thing. It's protected in the Mylar from everything else. So I just got cheap lids to put on, but they ran out of cheap lids, and so I bought the lids with the gaskets in them that are about this wide, and you need to put them on with a hammer. So I did that, and then this morning I dispersed the food to an alternate location. And I just got back from that, and yeah. So, food, you know, do your grandchildren have food? Do your as yet unborn grandchildren have food? Does your security force have food? Does the doctor and his entire family that's going to come along right at the time you really need a doctor, is his food put away? See, you don't have enough food, and it's cheap right now. It's cheap. It really is. The buckets are almost as expensive as the food. $17 a bag, 2 bags into 3 buckets. So that's 34 divided by 3. So that's like 11 something of food in about a $5-6 bucket with lid, right? Buckets are reusable. Not that we'll care at that point. I hear y'all who talk about storing it in big quantities as being cheaper. But I feel like a lot of the people who are saying that are just arguing for the sake of arguing. How much food do you have stored? Don't argue about the cost of buckets if you don't have any food stored. Store some food. Store some damn food. Get off your duff. Go do it. I'm concerned. I've thought about putting it in an ICB tote, 275 gallons, making a wand on a gas tank of nitrogen or CO2 or something. I'll figure it out. I got to deal with moisture too, and putting that down into the product and just until it's full, and then capping it. If it holds liquid, it should be watertight, right? But my only trepidation on that is, if it doesn't work, I've wasted a lot of product, right? And the 5-gallon bucket method is tried and true. Cheaper would be, you could bucket it in 5-gallon buckets, like do the Mylar bag and zip it closed with your light iron. And then you could lift that bag out of that bucket and stick it in a 55-gallon drum. And you could fill the 55-gallon drum up with 5-gallon bags or 1-gallon bags or whatever. That might work. Then you're only out the cost of the bags. But whatever. Until you've got so much food that you have to worry about storing it like that, why don't you just store it in buckets? The other thing is, buckets are a whole lot easier to transport when it's time to get out of here. You know, no matter where you are, my grandfather used to say, no matter where you go, there you are. No matter where you are, you got to have a plan to bug out. And bug out plans are also varied. You have the long time warning, you're going to bug out, the medium term warning, you're going to bug out, and oh God, we got to run for our lives right now, bug out. In two of those, you can and should take all your food with you when you bug out. Good luck moving a 275-gallon container of wheat when you got to bug out. Right, something to think about. So that's it. Buy food. Lethargy. I think a lot of you are sitting on your thumbs. Get food. Do it now. And then another part of lethargy is those of you who are intellectually almost sold. Maybe emotionally you're sold and you're not intellectually sold. You're sold in one degree to the idea of coming out of her, my people, but you're delaying for whatever reasons that sound really good in your head right now. We met a woman who we'd been in contact with for a while, who had moved from Tennessee to the middle of the Ozarks, and she wanted to meet. And so a long process ensued, and finally we decided to meet with her. And this woman, who's older than us, basically said she wanted to move near us. She's already in the Ozarks. She's already a believer like we believe. And she wanted to get closer to us. And normally with us, it's a pretty slow roll. It takes a while. Man, the Holy Spirit jumped on me when I was talking to her. And making a long story short, we secured her a place in about an hour and a half. It blew my mind how fast that happened. And so she'll be coming soon. She's got to go back, pack, and come back. But she was telling me, and she was a fairly sober, meaning, you know, serious person. And she was like, the Father has just been telling her it's coming like a freight train. And she wanted to not only be in the Ozarks, she wanted to be around us. So that was like 2 to 3 days ago. Then yesterday we met with this family, and they just moved from Texas to the Ozarks. And they're fairly far from us. Same thing. He has a good job. He has the ability to do his job, a lot of it online, and then he has to go back to his office in Tejas once a month or something to keep things going. But for now, they're doing it. And I don't know them that well, but from talking to them, they bought acreage, a fair chunk of acreage, and they're doing the home skillet thing. They're putting Dirksen buildings on it, well-built cabins. They have several kids, so they have several cabins, and I think they're using one for a kitchen and a couple for bedrooms and, one for a shop or, whatever. I don't know. I haven't been to their place yet. But these are people who just came from, I presume, a nice house because they have a nice job. So, with all the mod cons, and they moved out to the boonies and are living in a shed. Why? Because the Holy Spirit told them to get out and get here. And so they did. Just gave myself chills. I just watched another woman today, and I wish I knew what her title was. I think she's changed it. She has a long title. Coming out to the Ozarks or something. I think she's a nurse. She loves her goats, if you've seen her. She lived in Northwest Louisiana, and the father told her strongly, get to Northwest Arkansas. And I corresponded with her a couple years ago, and then we lost contact or whatever, or she got mad at me or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. She moved to the Ozarks, and she had a pretty good video today out. In some ways. The video was well edited, I thought, for the most part. But it was going over all the different people who said the Ozarks is going to be a zone of refuge, a safe haven for what's coming. And then she went over, the map where, you guys know the map where the Mississippi connects to the Great Lakes and Florida's gone and the whole Southwest is gone underwater. And you know that map, right? The Navy map, the Edgar Casey map, all that stuff. Whatever. She talked about Corrie ten Boom and some other woman, and hey, there's a lot of people saying come to the Ozarks, not just Pastor Joe. And there's a lot of people doing it. Our entire congregation, which continues to grow, is from somewhere else. Not around here. So, and they all came for the same reason. So what am I telling you? Listen to the Spirit. And a lot of you are where you're supposed to be. That's fine. That's not me arguing with you. You're fine. But some of you know. Some of you know you're supposed to move. All right. And you're being lethargic. Just like some of you are being lethargic about buying food. Buy food. You can't have too much food. Buy what you eat. Eat what you store. Keep it cool, dark, and dry. Oh, that's another thing a lot of people said. It's a fair question because that is one of the golden rules of food storage. Keep it cool, dry, and pest-free, right? And they're like, well, what if I can only store it in my garage? It'll be fine if it's dry stuff like corn, wheat, rice, and beans. Powdered milk, it doesn't last that long in perfect condition, so you put that out there and the fats are going to go rancid. Oil, the fats are going to go rancid, that kind of thing. Flour, evidently, because it's broken down wheat, it'll go rancid, but wheat won't. Store your wheat wherever. Store your corn, rice, and beans wherever. Just keep the bugs out of it. Keep the rats out of it, that kind of thing. And in my experience, buckets work great. So there's that. Heck, I stored rice at High Prairie Acres when we were there in tote bins with bay leaves sprinkled throughout it and a lid on it. And I mean, how many pillows of rice, 20, 25 pound bags of rice can you store in a tote bin? 5? Something like that. So, we eat a lot of rice, but we don't eat it that fast, and it never went bad. So, yeah, don't worry about that stuff. And you should probably start out food storage, which I'm going long for this phone. If I get cut off, that'll be it. And maybe I'll do another video if y'all are interested on food storage planning, concepts, strategies, that kind of thing. But you can store a year's worth of food, of regular food from the grocery store. Canned goods, crackers, instant oatmeal, ramen, peanut butter, pickles, jelly. You can just fill up a pantry with that stuff, and you can get a year's supply, and it'll last like 18 months to a couple years, so you can eat your way through it, and constantly have turnover. Your long-term food storage is the stuff you should be putting in buckets, right? All right, hey, I'm interested in your comments, and I got some plans for some things. We'll let you know about it soon. All right, I'll see you out there.